remember, if you are moving, Essential Moving Experts, call my guy Sean Williams. Huge Dolphins fan, obviously big supporter of the platform, moving anywhere in the country. Call our friends at Essential Moving Experts, 305-602-8369. Mr. Schad, good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Good, Big O. How are you?
Good, man. I'm pumped, ready for the Inter-Miami match tonight. Do you have the buzz? Are you watching Messi?
I will watch. I did get the MLS package on Apple Plus. They make it real easy to subscribe when you have your Apple TV Plus on. You can just click on it. And
Right.
I thought about going tonight, but the tickets haven't dipped like the previous ones. Now maybe they will closer to kickoff. Right now they're around 150. The last game you could get tickets shortly before kickoff in the 110 range.
Yeah, that's still quite a bit of money. But what are you going to do? It is an opportunity to see one of the best players in the history of the game. All right, so I'm looking forward to the match tonight. I can't wait for 8
Is
o'clock.
Orlando good? I don't know. I have no idea.
They're all right. They're all right,
Who's
but
favored?
it's personal. It's
Do you have the odds? Let's look up the odds. Have your producer look up the odds if he can. I
I'm
want to
sure.
see who's favored.
Inter's favored, bro.
Inter is favored. Okay.
Yes. There's no doubt in my mind that Inter is favored. I'll look it up for you also while we're doing this. But first of all, talk to me a little bit on the offensive line. What have you seen so far?
It's really tough to grade the Dolphins' offensive linemen considering how unbelievably talented the front seven is for the Dolphins defense. I mean, this is a good test. I will say that I have not seen the left guard or the right tackle play terribly. And so if we're not noticing them playing terribly, that is a good sign. That is a positive sign. But I think we're going to get a better feel when we watch those guys match up in the joint practices next week against the Falcons. Those guys really want to look good in the joint practices. The whole thing about seeing somebody in a different colored uniform. And so left guard and right tackle, all eyes will be on those guys against the Falcons next week.
Yeah, I'm with. Although I yesterday I thought in the one-on-ones, ooh, doggy, Austin Jackson got smoked by Jalen Phillips and by Agba. I gotta say I've been more impressed with Kendall Lamb than I have been with Austin Jackson. I know they're practicing Kendall on the left side, and I know Isaiah Wynn is kind of like the swing guy. I kind of would like to keep Isaiah Wynn maybe as a swing guy because he can also play guard, and put Kendall Lamb at right tackle. I know it's early right now, but
I think he's more of a left tackle, and I like the idea that he might very well, and I agree with you, prove to be a solid insurance policy for Teron Armstead, who, of course, unfortunately missed 4 games last year, and the Dolphins went 1-3 in those 4 games. Kendall Lamb tried to fill in for him at the end of the season, but then he quickly went down, if you remember. I like that the Dolphins backups have some experience. He and Abuehi and Feeney. I like it. I think it's capable.
By the way,
Wynn.
Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, and Isaiah Wynn. Capable veteran experience. Yeah, backup.
Okay, so but you're not where I'm at right now on, that you're a
giving up on Jackson. No, absolutely not.
Okay, I'm not ready completely to give up on him, but I am not comfortable with what I see. I saw more progress up until this point last year with him. And so I hopefully things get a little better here. But I have to say, Kendall's actually done, a decent job too. Anything else has stood out to you on the offensive line, one way or the
other? Yeah, I mean, it's tough, man. I mean, this isn't preseason games. This isn't joint practices. It's kind of, it's kind of hard. But I will tell you one thing I noticed, which is that this new offensive line coach, is it Butch Barry? I haven't met him yet. I think I'm going to meet him. We'll get to meet him soon. But he is, I don't know how to say this. He's demanding in a good way. And, it's a change of pace from what the Dolphins coaches have been in the last few years. So I think it has a chance to resonate with these guys. This is a take no prisoners, demanding, loud coach. I just wanted to let you know that I have noticed it a lot. He's hard to miss out there.
So he's not Mr. Positive and constantly giving positive reinforcement like Mike McDaniel. Although that's kind of a misconception.
There's a balance.
Mike McDaniel does have a little rip job in him every once in a while too. By the way, he just does it a little differently.
But it's a nice balance with McDaniel,
yes,
who is generally, come to my office and we'll talk things out kind of guy. This Butch Barry is a rip you a new one kind of guy. It seems pretty clear.
By the way, Inter Miami is minus 147 on the money line. Orlando,
so you have to bet. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, you got to bet $147
to win 100. Wow.
And Orlando is plus 350.
Wow. So is the new guy Jordan Albi? Is that how you say it?
Jordi Alba.
Yes. Jordi Alba. Is he playing tonight?
Yes, I'm sure he's playing tonight.
Wow. He's a defender, right?
Yeah, he's a defender, and he'll play. So he's a midfielder defender, I think. Yes, he defensive midfielder is what you call it. Yes, Alba will. I think he'll play some minutes. I don't know if he'll play a lot. I don't know what kind of shape he's in, but he's already practiced with the team a little bit, so he's got something.
Yeah.
So I would imagine he'll play 20, 30 minutes today.
Big O, it's really interesting to think about how the MLS is obviously doing everything in their power to load up the Miami franchise with stars to try to not only, to save the league, really. And I don't save is a little strong, but to throw accelerant on the entire league.
Hold on, Joe. You're not following the whole league. There are other teams making moves too now. So it's
they're not getting these guys.
Well, they're not getting. Nobody's getting Messi. There's only one Messi. You know what I'm saying? But I think that what you're watching now is the next stage of the MLS, where if you want to grow up and be the big boy league, you got to start adding big boys. And so they're starting to add big boys now. And, big boys are looking at the MLS saying, okay, well, it looks like there's some money there now. Okay, now
but they have a salary cap, right? And they just kind of like bend the rules and twist the rules, and that's fine. I got no problem with it. They're like, oh yeah, an international allocation to Miami for cash. Okay.
Not a second. The DPs don't count against the cap,
right?
So your 3 DPs, okay, the designated
players. But didn't they acquire one for cash? I mean, the league is like, give Miami all the international allocations they need.
No, because every team has 6 allocations, and they're U22s. So those are also ones that don't go against the cap, and you can add people, but they have to be under 22 in order to add them, but they're young stars. And so, yeah, you're probably going to have to pay a little extra money for those kind of guys. Like they added the Paraguay kid and the kid from Argentina that are U22s. And so everybody has those slots. Now, Miami wasn't using their slots until, the thing is, again, to kind of fill you in. A couple of years ago, they went and started building a team without a head coach. The head coach gets here and he goes, yeah, I don't like that guy. I don't like this guy. I don't like that guy. And so then it was like an ass backwards type of thing, and it put them in a difficult position, right? So this time they knew they wanted Tata, but they had to wait to get him. So what they did with Phil Neville was they left the cupboard bare, and they did not add the extra DPs. They did not add the U22s. They waited till they had the coach. And then the coach got there and said, okay, I want this guy and that guy and that guy. I like that guy.
I get it.
And so then
I find it very interesting the way different franchises are built and rebuild. Right. And I wanted to draw a parallel between how the MLS Miami team has rebuilt, how the Dolphins chose to rebuild, which was a tank. They don't want to say it, but it was a tank. They tanked a couple of seasons to try to position themselves for a Super Bowl. And now in Major League Baseball, without a salary cap, you see the Marlins, kudos to them, and general manager Kim Ng adding, while the Mets, with a billionaire owner, do a complete sell-off for prospects to reload their system in one day, knowing that they could spend hundreds of millions in free agency again. So I guess I'd ask you this as part of our conversation here, Big O. Which system do you prefer? Do you like baseball having no salary cap? What's best for the fans? The baseball system with no salary cap, the NFL system with the salary cap, but they hold guns to guys' heads where they say if you don't take a pay cut, you're gone because the majority of your salary is not guaranteed. That's certainly better than the NBA system where you have
The haves
guys
and
who
the
were stars 5 years ago making 20 million sitting at the end of the bench and not playing.
Baseball and basketball are haves and have-nots. Pretty simple. Unless the have-nots drafted Duncan Robinson, Ginobili, and Parker, and they got lucky that they drafted championship caliber players all there, but the have-nots will never buy the Duncans, Ginobilis, and Parkers because the Portlands can't buy them, North Carolina can't buy them, Orlando can't buy them, Detroit can't buy them, Lakers can, the Knicks can, the Heat can. You know what I'm saying? And in baseball, it's the same thing. If you're the Cubs and you're the Yankees and you're the Mets and you're
Dodgers.
and the Dodgers and you're the Giants, you can buy. But if you're the Marlins and you're Tampa and you're Milwaukee, you can't buy. You can only buy a little bit. And so for me, there's no system better than the NFL. It may
There's
not
a
be
lot of parity. Every year,
not,
there's a certain number of teams that make the playoffs.
Right. It may not be the best for the players, but all 32 teams have a chance to win a Super Bowl. That is something that cannot be said in MLB and it cannot be said in NBA. They all don't have a chance to win. They need so much luck. In the NFL, you just got to know how to be competent and run your team the right way, and you'll be able to win a championship because any team can win a championship in the NFL because everybody has the same resources.
In baseball, acquiring a star pitcher can change the odds in Vegas and make a team a World Series favorite. In the NBA, acquiring a superstar in free agency can completely change the odds. In the NFL, it's different. I'm going to do some research on how much the Dolphins AFC East, AFC Super Bowl odds changed in the wake of Jalen Ramsey's injury. Probably not that much. The over-under in wins might not have shifted at all.
No. Go check Aaron Rodgers.
As Ramsey is.
Compare Ramsey and Rodgers.
The quarterback.
Right. Compare the Jets odds before Rodgers and after, and compare Ramsey's with the Dolphins before and after, and you'll see that there's a huge difference, obviously.
If the Dolphins had acquired Aaron Rodgers this offseason, do you think they would have been, of course, you have Chiefs, Bills, Bengals. Would they have been in the top four in the AFC for Super Bowl, to go to the Super Bowl for the favorites, the odds?
Yeah, I'm sure they would.
So the perception of Rodgers is that he's much better than Tua, which is interesting because Tua might have the better season.
Bro, that's your perception. We fucking.
I just said Vegas. No, I just said Vegas.
I get that, but it's also your perception or Vegas or whatever. To me, Tua was just as good as Rodgers last year. I mean, they're at this point in their careers, I see one guy ascending, I see the other guy descending. So to me, I get that Tua doesn't have the respect around the league. I totally understand that. But I have a completely different belief in that kid. I think he's a player, bro. I really do. And he just didn't have the coaching, the support around him. Now he has it, and he was an MVP caliber player almost last year.
So Big O, you know a lot about betting, and you talk to a lot of these betting experts, people who are involved in setting odds. If the Dolphins would have much better odds with Aaron Rodgers than they do with Tua, it's because the odds makers believe that the betting public's consensus is that Rodgers is better, right? It all has to do with the betting public's where they think the betting public's going to put their money, right?
Health. That's all it is. Tua, at this point, if you think Tua can't play, you don't know anything about football. You don't understand the quarterback position. But at this point, I
didn't say that. I'm talking about the odds makers.
I'm telling you, in general, to anybody out there, there is no doubt at this point that Tua can play. If you have a doubt, you're just an idiot. Sorry, you're a fucking idiot. At this point, the only doubt between Rodgers and Tua is that Tua can't stay healthy. And that's the only reason you're going to
I
bet
understand.
Rodgers over Tua, because Rodgers has played complete seasons pretty much throughout his entire career. That guy doesn't really miss a lot of games. In fact, I don't even know, has he missed 10 games in his entire career?
Well, Jalen Ramsey didn't miss any games, and look what that did for the
Oh, but
Dolphins,
that's
right?
a freak thing. And I'm not, you
I
can't
know.
kill freak things. Let me go over the history. And the history is Tua's gotten injured. Unfortunately, that's the history. He has an injury history, but it can't be right now. The only reason you're betting Rodgers over him is because you count on Rodgers to play on all 17 games and you don't count on Tua. But it's not because you think there's this amazing difference between the two as players.
Only because of Rodgers' age. I mean, obviously, he's a Hall of Famer, one of the great quarterbacks in NFL history. I'll bet you, I have the feeling that he's got something left. I don't think this guy's washed.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, so I wanted to tell you that Tua had a press conference yesterday, and he did really well. He's much better in press conferences, and I think that he's. We talked about this when I did that one-on-one interview with him. I think he's comfortable in his own skin. I think he's comfortable being in year 2 of the offense. I think he's comfortable with what he showed he could do when on the field. And I wanted to tell you, he was looking us in the eye. He was using our names. He was giving us good answers. And at the end of the news conference, when it was done, he said, "Hey, does anyone else have any other questions?" It was great. And so he's maturing on and off the field. And look, I mean, the guy's a husband and a father now, but it's not just a narrative. It's clearly the reality of the situation. And so I think that's just going to make it better for all of us, but it's certainly better for us in the media that he's more comfortable with the interviews and everything.
Your children are going to need your support throughout their entire lives. That's part of having, a success is having a foundation. You and I, we work in a brutal freaking business. You've had to move and change. Your wife has to be a rock throughout all of this, just like my wife has had to be a rock, throughout all of this. And it helps us have to deal with the ups and downs of our business when the rock is at home. You know what I'm saying? Because we're going home to a foundation, people that believe in you and they love you. And so then that allows you to go back out there and fight that battle that you have to fight to pay our bills every single day to survive in life. It's the same thing with Tua, dude. It's the same thing with anyone in any position in any walk of life. You got to have a foundation of support. If you don't, it's really impossible to succeed. And what he lacked for his first couple of years, there was no way you were going to succeed under that. And once you get under Mike McDaniel, you have somebody that believes in you, somebody that reinforces their beliefs. And then you have the front office and everybody else building around you. So it's easy to see him now come out of his shell and grow and be more confident. That pass he threw over David Long yesterday, that's the kind of shit that he can do.
He's lethal in the middle of the field. Absolutely lethal.
You got to give him the foundation like any player.
He's lethal. But the next step is outside the hashes. You agree, right? Because he's lethal in here. Outside the hashes.
You mean like the first throw he made on the first day outside the hash?
He's good when he's moving and throwing to a guy who's running towards the sideline for an out pattern. No doubt.
He's just good, period, bro. You don't do the things
he's still developing. He's still working on the things that he's not great at.
Oh, he's working on getting to greatness. That's the thing. He's already good. You don't do the shit he did last year if you're not good. You don't come off the bench in Alabama and win a national championship if you're not good, bro. He does shit all the time that proves he's good. He's getting to the point of greatness. That's where he's got to go. That's his trajectory. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. That's his trajectory. He's already proven he can be good. It's about him being great, because that's the only way.
We know Tua has 2 top weapons. I wanted to let you know that, in my opinion, Eric Ezukanma looks better.
Okay.
Cedric Wilson looks better. Now, who knows what's going to happen with his contract and that sort of thing. Devon Achane is going to be a valuable weapon. Okay, so I think he's got plenty of weapons to work with. And then defensively, it's my opinion that Cam Smith will end up being the starter ahead of Eli Apple. Now, I know that we haven't seen the Apple contract numbers yet, and I know he has a lot of starts, including the Super Bowl just 2 years ago. But I think Cam Smith is the better player. I think he's a better player. And I also want to say right here on the Miami Dolphins Essential Moving Experts Exchange, I want to say that Noah Igbenogany looks better. Okay. And so we want to see what happens in the joint practices, and we want to see what happens in the preseason games. But I think it's possible that this zone-heavy scheme is a better fit for Noah Igbenogany. And there are folks around the team who think that the zone-heavy scheme fits Eli Apple's strengths too. That he gets burned one-on-one in the press.
Yes, right? He's inconsistent in one-on-one coverage. I do not trust Eli Apple in one-on-one coverage. And I think they signed Eli Apple not because they need him right now. I think they signed Eli Apple. It's kind of a kind of like what Tua does a lot, anticipatory throws. I think this was an anticipatory move just in case they suffer another injury, then they're in the hurt. Because remember, once Trill gets back and Nick gets back, they're going to have a lot of depth, at that position. So
and Kohu can play outside. Yeah, Kohu can play outside.
I think the Eli Apple thing is more of an insurance policy, but I agree, and I've said it on the show throughout the week, that I think Eli in a zone is actually more valuable to you than he is if he has to play on man on man. Man on man, I would be terrified. Now, on the flip side of that, what happened to Chosen?
What happened? I mean, obviously he got off to a strong start. Are you saying that? What am I missing on Chosen?
He's Albert Wilson things. So, really good in shorts. Now the pads came on. We haven't seen much of him. And there's a thing, and this might be just me looking too much into it. They had their conversations with him. I don't think I've met anybody that says Robbie Anderson can't play. Robbie Chosen, whatever the hell. I've never met anybody that says he can't play. We all know he can play. He runs like the wind, all of that. But he's had other issues. And I wonder if they're testing him now.
Yeah, it's not easy to
wonder if
have those 1,000-yard receiving seasons like he has in his past, and then go out there and line up with some of the dudes he's lining up with in practice who, are very, very long shots to make the team. I agree with you. It's going to be very important.
Testing him.
It's going to be important. Yeah, it's going to be important for him
to see if he's staying in, even though he's not getting the reps. Like Salvon Ahmed. Like the other day when he was there, I asked him, dude, how do you stay ready? Because you running backs are rhythm players, and you never get a rhythm. Wilson will get a rhythm. Most will get a rhythm. You never get a rhythm, and yet every time you hand it off to Salvon Ahmed, Savon, I'm sorry, he pops 4.5, 5 yards a carry.
I like Ahmed. He's ahead of Gaskin.
Oh yeah, way ahead of him. But I love that, and I'm wondering if they're testing Robbie in that way, like they are withholding a little reps to see if he gets frustrated, if he loses concentration, if he doesn't stay disciplined and wait for his turn. I wonder, because that's really how you test Robbie. You test him off the field, you test him in the classroom, you test him that way, because that's where he's lost it. That's where he's had his issues. He doesn't have his issues on the field. Everybody knows he can play. So I just wonder, did he fall a little out of favor, or are they testing him a little bit right now and testing?
I still think he's on the roster. I still think he has a chance to be a factor. I'm really looking forward to how he does in the joint practices and how he does in Saturday's scrimmage at Hard Rock Stadium.
I'll be in Canton. What do you got going on at the Palm Beach Post so folks can check you and Hal Habit out?
Posted a story about Teron Armstead and his goal to play all 17 games this season. Let's hope that happens. And also posted an 8-minute video with our Hal Habib. Shot it in 4K, and it took like an hour to upload. I didn't realize how big those files can be, so I have to maybe not use the 4K.
So do we tell the women not to watch, because they're all going to go after Hal and they're all going to fall in love with Hal now that you?
Hal is available. He is on the open market. It's my understanding. We don't know everything about Hal, but I believe that to be true.
So if you guys, you ladies out there, GQ Hal is available, and so in 4K. So you get all the beauty of Hal Habit right
Check
there.
out the 4K video. Let me know what you guys think. See if it's worth an hour of uploading. Good to see you, Big O.
Ladies, leave your number on the chat board there for Hal. Joe, see you later. We'll catch you next week, baby. Be good.
All right, see you, bud.
Thank you, sir. That is Joe Schad. Follow him on Twitter at Schad Joe. Okay.